help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts on the video. Your feedback helps make the contents better. Now let's get to the story.
My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the envelope. Behind that bedroom door, I could hear my wife Sarah's voice mixed with her mother's shrill laughter, and what they were saying made every hair on my body stand up. God, I can't wait until his pathetic mother is finally in the ground. Then maybe we can sell this dump and move somewhere decent. My mother's funeral had been that morning. I'd buried her 6 hours ago. My name is Peter Parker. I'm 32 years old, and until that moment, I thought I knew what my life was. I'm a high school history teacher in Tampa, Florida. Not wealthy, not important, just a regular guy who loved his job and thought he had a decent marriage. My mother raised me alone after my father died when I was 7. We never had much money. She worked 2 jobs most of my childhood, cleaning offices at night and working as a seamstress during the day. She lived in a small rental house in Clearwater, drove a beat-up Honda from 1998, and wore the same 3 dresses to church every Sunday. When she got sick last year with cancer, I took care of her. Sarah complained about it constantly, but I never imagined the hatred I was about to discover. If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 1,000 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these stories matter. The envelope in my hand was from my mother's lawyer, Mr. Patterson. He'd pulled me aside after the funeral and handed it to me with instructions to open it privately. Inside were property deeds, 2 working farms in Central Florida, one in Ocala and one in Plant City, and a mansion, a genuine mansion in Palm Beach. Combined value, somewhere north of $12 million. My mother, the woman who I thought struggled her whole life, had been secretly wealthy. I stood frozen in the hallway of our small rental house, still wearing my funeral suit, while my wife and her family talked about me like I was garbage. Sarah's mother, Patricia, was speaking now. At least now you won't have to pretend to care about that old woman anymore. 5 years of putting up with her broken English and her cheap gifts. My mother had immigrated from Taiwan. Her English was actually perfect, but she had an accent. An accent my wife's family apparently mocked behind my back. The best part, Sarah said, and I could hear the smile in her voice, is that Peter is so stupidly trusting. He has no idea about Derek. My blood turned to ice. Derek was her yoga instructor. They'd been having sessions 3 times a week for the past 8 months. Does the poor fool really think you're just getting flexible? Patricia cackled. Mom, please. Peter's sweet, but he's boring. Derek actually knows how to treat a woman. Plus, he's going places, not like Peter, who'll be a teacher making $43,000 a year until he retires. Her sister Jessica chimed in. When are you going to leave him? Soon. I'm just waiting for the right moment. Derek says once he gets his promotion, we can get a place together. I've already talked to a divorce lawyer. In Florida, I'll get half of everything, even though Peter has nothing worth taking. I stepped back from the door. My chest felt tight, my vision blurred. These were the people I'd welcomed into my home. I paid for Patricia's car repair last month, $1,500. I helped Jessica move into her new apartment, spent an entire weekend painting her walls. And my wife, Sarah. We'd been married for 5 years, together for 7. I'd loved her since the day I met her at a friend's barbecue. She seemed kind back then, warm. When did that change? Or had I just been blind? I walked quietly to our home office and sat down at the computer. My hands were steadier now. Shock was giving way to something else, something cold and clear. I spent the next hour researching. I found Derek on social media easily enough. Yoga instructor, personal trainer, and apparently, based on the photos, my wife's boyfriend. There were pictures of them together at restaurants I couldn't afford, a weekend trip to Miami I didn't know about, taken during what Sarah had told me was a girls' spa weekend. I photographed everything with my phone. Then I opened my email and wrote to Mr. Patterson, my mother's lawyer. We had a lot to discuss. The next morning, I woke up early. Sarah was still asleep, sprawled across our bed like she didn't have a care in the world. I'd slept on the couch, telling her I was too emotional about my mother to be good company. She seemed relieved. I made coffee and breakfast like normal. When Sarah came down, I smiled at her. "Morning, honey," I said. She looked surprised. "You seem better." "I am. I've been thinking about what Mom would want. She'd want me to move forward, to focus on the good things in life." I paused. Focus on us. Sarah actually looked uncomfortable. Guilt? Probably not. More likely annoyance that I wasn't staying miserable. "That's great, Peter. Really healthy." She grabbed her coffee. "I have yoga this morning." "With Derek?" "Cool. Hey, I was thinking maybe we could have dinner with your family tonight, here at the house. I want to thank everyone for being so supportive during this hard time." She looked suspicious. "Really?" "Really. Your mom, Jessica, whoever else wants to come. I'll cook. We'll have a nice family evening." She studied me for a moment, then shrugged. "Okay, I'll text them." After she left for her yoga session, I got to work. I called Mr. Patterson first. "I need you to do something for me," I said, "and I need it done quickly." "I'm listening," he said. Over the next few hours, I made arrangements. I called in sick to work for the rest of the week. Then I went shopping. I bought steaks, expensive wine, fresh flowers for the table. I was going to put on the performance of my life. By 6 p.m., everything was ready. The house smelled amazing. I'd set the dining table with our nicest dishes, the ones we'd gotten as wedding gifts and almost never used. Candles were lit, music played softly in the background. Sarah came home at 5:30 and actually looked impressed. "Wow, Peter, this is really nice." "Only the best for family," I said, smiling. Her family arrived at 6:15. Patricia, Jessica, and Jessica's husband, Ron. They all seemed confused by the fancy setup, but they sat down readily enough when I started serving drinks. "Peter, this is lovely," Patricia said, though her eyes were calculating. She was probably wondering what I wanted. "I wanted to do something special," I said. "This has been a hard week, and you've all been so kind, so supportive of me and my mother." I saw Sarah and Patricia exchange a look. We made small talk through the appetizers. I asked about their lives, their jobs, their plans. I was the perfect host, attentive and warm. They started to relax, probably thinking I really was just being grateful. When I served the main course, I decided it was time. "So," I said, sitting down with my own plate, "I wanted to share some news with all of you, something that happened at the funeral." Everyone looked at me. My mother's lawyer gave me some documents. Turns out Mom had some assets I didn't know about. Sarah perked up. I could see the interest in her eyes. "Assets?" "Yeah, property, actually." I took a sip of wine, letting the moment stretch. "2 farms and a house." "Farms?" Patricia leaned forward. "What kind of farms?" "Working farms. One's a cattle ranch in Ocala, about 800 acres. The other's a strawberry farm in Plant City, around 600 acres. Both are fully operational, currently leased to farmers who pay rent." You could have heard a pin drop. "And the house?" Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "A mansion in Palm Beach, ocean view, 6 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, about 9,000 square feet." Jessica actually gasped. I watched their faces transform. Shock, greed, excitement, calculation. It was like watching masks fall away. Make sure you're subscribed, because what happens next is going to show you exactly how I made them all pay. Trust me, you don't want to miss a single detail. "Peter," Sarah said, and her voice was different now, sweeter, the voice she used to use when we first dated. "That's incredible. Why didn't your mother ever tell you?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "Mr. Patterson said she wanted it to be a surprise. She built up these assets over 30 years, very quietly. She was smarter with money than anyone realized." "How much?" Patricia asked bluntly. "What's it all worth?" "The lawyer estimates somewhere between $12 and $15 million. We'll know more after all the assessments are done." Sarah stood up so fast, her chair scraped loudly against the floor. She came around the table and threw her arms around me. "Peter, oh my God, this is life-changing. We're set for life." I let her hug me. I even hugged her back. "Yeah," I said, "it really changes everything." The rest of the dinner was surreal. Suddenly, I was the most fascinating person in the room. Patricia wanted to know all about the properties. Jessica started talking about investment opportunities. Ron, who'd barely spoken to me in 3 years, started calling me buddy and asking about my plans. And Sarah couldn't keep her hands off me. She kept touching my arm, my shoulder, looking at me with wide, adoring eyes. It was disgusting. "So, what are you going to do with it all?" Patricia asked as I served dessert. "Well," I said slowly, "that's something I've been thinking about a lot. It's a big responsibility." "You could sell it all," Jessica suggested, "invest the money, live off the interest. Or keep the farms running, that's steady income." "We should move into the mansion," Sarah said. "Peter, imagine us in Palm Beach. We could have the life we always dreamed about." I don't remember us dreaming about that, I thought, but I just smiled. "There's a lot to consider," I said, "and actually, there's something else I need to tell you all." They all looked expectantly. Mr. Patterson also gave me some other documents. My mother kept very detailed records of her life, diaries, financial records, everything. I pulled out a folder I'd kept hidden under my chair, including records of every penny she ever spent on other people. I opened the folder and pulled out a spreadsheet. For example, did you know that over the 5 years Sarah and I have been married, my mother gave us or paid for things for us totaling about $67,000? Sarah blinked. "That can't be right." "It is." She kept receipts. "The down payment helps on our car. That was $8,000 from Mom. The money for our wedding. She contributed $12,000, even though you told people your parents paid for everything. The hospital bill when you had your appendix out? Mom paid the $4,000 deductible." Sarah's face was turning red. "And Patricia," I turned to my mother-in-law, "Mom lent you $15,000 3 years ago. Do you remember that? For your business opportunity that fell through? She never asked you to pay it back." Patricia's mouth opened and closed. "Jessica, the money for your dental work? $6,000. Also from Mom." I looked around the table at their shocked faces. My mother, who you all thought was just some poor immigrant lady, spent years helping this family. And yesterday, at her funeral, I heard what you really thought of her." The color drained from Sarah's face. "Peter," she started. "I heard everything," I said calmly. "I came home early from the lawyer's office. I was standing in the hallway when you were all in the bedroom. I heard what you said about being glad she was dead, about her broken English, about selling our dump of a house." Patricia stood up. "Now, Peter, you have to understand. I also heard about Derek." Sarah made a small sound like a wounded animal. "Your yoga instructor, the one you've been sleeping with for 8 months, the one you're planning to leave me for." Jessica grabbed her purse. Ron was already heading for the door. "Wait," I said. "Don't you want to hear the best part?" They all froze. "See, when I found out about all this money, I had a decision to make. What kind of person did I want to be? Did I want to be someone who kept this all secret, who pretended everything was fine while my wife cheated on me and her family mocked my dead mother?" I stood up. "Or did I want to be someone who handled things properly?" I pulled out another set of papers. "These are divorce papers. I filed them this afternoon. In Florida, adultery affects how assets are divided. I have photos of you and Derek, Sarah. Lots of them. Timestamps, locations, everything." Sarah's hand went to her mouth. "My lawyer says that because of the adultery, and because all of my inheritance is separate property that I received after filing, you won't get any of it. You'll get half of what we had before, which, as you so nicely pointed out to your family, is basically nothing." I turned to Patricia. As for those $15,000 my mother lent you, that's part of her estate now. My lawyer will be contacting you about repayment, with interest. You can't, Patricia started. I can. It's all documented. Mom kept everything. I looked at each of them. I want you all out of my house, now. This is my house too, Sarah said, finding her voice. You can't just kick me out. Actually, I said, I can. I spoke to the landlord this afternoon. The lease is in my name only. I've paid for a hotel room for you for the next week. After that, you're on your own. Your stuff will be packed and ready for pickup tomorrow. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Peter, please, I made a mistake. We can work through this. No, I said simply. We can't. You made your choice when you started sleeping with Derek. You made it again every time you lied to me. And you made it yesterday when you laughed about my mother's death. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button, because the revenge doesn't stop here. It only gets better. I promise you, you'll want to see how this all ends. Patricia tried one more time. Peter, be reasonable. We're family. No, I said. You're not. You never treated me like family. You treated me like a joke, a boring, poor teacher who wasn't good enough for your daughter. Well, guess what? Your daughter wasn't good enough for me. I opened the front door. Get out, all of you, now. They left. Sarah was crying. Patricia was furious. Jessica and Ron practically ran. When they were gone, I closed the door and stood in my quiet house. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I just felt tired. But I wasn't done. Not even close. The next morning, I woke up in my empty house and got to work on Phase 2. I called Derek. He answered on the third ring, sounding confused. Hello? Derek, hi. This is Peter Parker, Sarah's husband. Silence. I wanted to let you know that Sarah is now single. She'll be looking for a place to stay, probably with you since you two have been sleeping together for the past 8 months. Man, I don't know what... Save it. I have pictures. Lots of them. I also wanted to let you know that I've sent copies to the gym where you work. I checked their employee handbook online. They have a pretty strict policy about trainers getting involved with married clients. I'm guessing you'll be looking for a new job soon. I hung up before he could respond. Then I made my second call to a private investigator I had hired the day before. Did you find what I asked for? I did, she said. Derek Martinez has been running this scam for years. You're the third married woman he's gotten involved with. He targets wives of men with money, or who he thinks have money. Usually ends with him convincing them to leave their husbands and give him loans for various business opportunities that never pan out. Perfect. Send me everything you found. My third call was to Sarah's personal cell phone. Peter, please, she answered immediately. We need to talk. We do, I agreed. I wanted to give you some advice about Derek. What about him? He's a con artist, Sarah. He's done this before, twice. Gets involved with married women, convinces them to leave their husbands, takes their money, then disappears. I'm having a full report delivered to you this afternoon. You're lying. I'm not. But don't take my word for it. Ask him about Michelle Rodriguez and Jennifer Kim. Those are his last 2 marks. Both of them filed police reports. I could hear her breathing heavily. Good luck, Sarah. You're going to need it. I hung up. Over the next few days, I watched everything unfold exactly as I'd planned. Derek got fired from the gym. Sarah called me 17 times, which I didn't answer. Patricia left angry voicemails demanding I forgive her daughter. But I was busy with other things. I met with Mr. Patterson and made arrangements for the properties. The farms would continue to be leased, generating steady income. The mansion in Palm Beach I decided to keep. I'd move in during the summer break from teaching. I also set up a scholarship fund in my mother's name at the high school where I taught. $50,000 a year for students from immigrant families who wanted to go to college. The first recipient would be announced at graduation. 2 weeks after the divorce papers were served, Sarah showed up at the school where I worked. Security called me to the front office. She looked terrible. Her eyes were red and puffy, her hair unwashed. She'd lost weight. "Peter, please, just give me 5 minutes." I looked at the security guard. "It's okay. We can talk outside." We walked out to the parking lot. It was a warm Florida afternoon, the kind my mother used to love. "I'm sorry," Sarah said. "I'm so sorry. I made a horrible mistake. Derek, he's exactly what you said. He's been asking me for money, getting angry when I tell him I don't have any. I left him." "Okay," I said. "I want to come home. I want us to try again." "No." "Peter, please, I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling. I'll prove to you that I've changed." "Sarah, you didn't change. You just got caught. There's a difference." "I love you." "No, you don't. You love what you thought I had, and even that wasn't enough until you found out about the money." Tears ran down her face. "What am I supposed to do? I lost my job because I was so distracted. I can't afford my hotel anymore. My mum won't help me because she's angry about the money she has to pay back." I pulled out my wallet and took out $500 in cash. "Here, this is the last thing I'll ever give you. Use it to get back on your feet or don't. That's up to you." "I don't want your money. I want you." "Well, you can't have me." I turned to walk back into the school. "Your mother would be ashamed of you," Sarah called after me. "She always talked about forgiveness and kindness. What would she think of what you're doing?" I stopped and turned back. My mother spent her entire life being kind to people who didn't deserve it. She worked herself to the bone and saved every penny so that I could have a better life. And you know what people like you and your family did? You took advantage of her. You mocked her. You celebrated her death. I walked back closer to Sarah. My mother would be proud of me for finally standing up for myself, for not letting people walk all over me anymore, for not confusing kindness with weakness. "So that's it. You're just going to leave me with nothing." "You're leaving with exactly what you brought to this marriage. Nothing. Just like you said I had." I went back inside and didn't look back. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. Sarah got half of our shared savings, which amounted to about $3,000. She got her car. That was it. I heard through mutual friends that she moved back to her mother. Derek had moved on to his next target. Patricia was making payments on the money she owed, bitter and resentful. Jessica had stopped speaking to me entirely, which was fine. 3 months after my mother's funeral, I stood in the mansion in Palm Beach. It was beautiful, all white walls and ocean views. My mother had bought it 15 years ago and had been slowly renovating it 1 room at a time. In the master bedroom, I found a letter addressed to me, sitting on the dresser. My hands shook as I opened it.
"My dearest Peter," it read in my mother's neat handwriting. "If you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I kept so many secrets from you. I wanted to tell you about the money, about the properties, but I also wanted to see who truly loved you for yourself. I watched Sarah and her family. I saw how they treated you, how they treated me. I heard the things they said when they thought I couldn't understand. I am not as foolish as they believed. I built this wealth not for myself, but for you, so you would never have to struggle like I did, so you would have choices. I hope that when the time came, you found the strength to choose yourself, to choose the life you deserve. You are my greatest achievement, Peter. Not the farms, not this house, but you. The kind, intelligent, strong man you've become. Be happy, my son. Live the life I always dreamed for you. Love, Mom." I sat on the floor and cried, really cried, for the first time since she died. My mother had known everything. She'd seen it all, and she'd still given me the choice to do the right thing. I sold our old rental house and moved into the Palm Beach mansion. I kept teaching because I loved it, but now I didn't stress about money. I traveled during summer breaks. I dated, though I was cautious. The scholarship fund in my mother's name helped 8 students in the first year alone. I attended their awards ceremony and told them all about my mother, the immigrant seamstress who built an empire in secret. One afternoon, about a year after everything happened, I was having coffee at a cafe near the school when someone sat down across from me. Sarah. She looked better than the last time I'd seen her, healthier. Her hair was done, her clothes clean. "I'm not here to ask for anything," she said immediately. "I just wanted to say something." I gestured for her to continue. "You were right about everything. I was awful to you. I was awful to your mother. I spent the last year in therapy, trying to figure out how I became that person." She looked down at her hands. "I got a job. Nothing fancy, just retail. I'm paying my own bills. My mom and I aren't speaking much. Turns out when I didn't have money to give her, she wasn't that interested in a relationship." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, and meant it. "I heard about the scholarship fund. That's beautiful, Pierre. Your mom would be proud." "Thank you." "I also heard you're dating someone, a teacher from your school?" "Her name is Lisa. She teaches English." Sarah nodded. "I hope she treats you better than I did." "She does." We sat in silence for a moment. "I should go," Sarah said, standing up. "I just wanted to tell you that I understand now what you did. It wasn't cruel. It was fair. More fair than I deserved." She walked away, and I watched her go. I never saw her again. 5 years later, I'm still teaching, still living in my mother's mansion, though I've made it my own now. Lisa and I got married 2 years ago in a small ceremony on the beach. Her family is kind and genuine, everything Sarah's wasn't. The farms continue to generate income. I've used some of the money to help other teachers at my school, offering interest-free loans for emergencies, funding classroom projects. I did it all anonymously, the way my mother would have. Sometimes I think about that night when I heard Sarah and her family talking, how different my life would be if I'd walked into that room, confronted them right then in anger, or if I never heard them at all, never found out the truth. But then I remember my mother's letter. She knew I'd find the strength to choose myself, to choose the life I deserved, and I did. The best revenge wasn't taking everything from Sarah and her family, though I won't lie and say that didn't feel good. The best revenge was building a life so good, so full, that they became irrelevant to it. They're not villains in my story anymore. They're just people I used to know who made bad choices. I visit my mother's grave every Sunday. I tell her about my week, about my students, about Lisa. I tell her about the scholarship recipients and how they're doing in college. I thank her for everything she gave me, not just the money, but the example of quiet strength and dignity. And I promise her that I'm living the life she dreamed for me, because I am, and it's better than I ever imagined. If this story touched you, please hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel and connecting with all of you. Special shout out to our amazing viewers from the United States, the Philippines, Canada, and New York. You guys make up the heart of this community, and your support means everything. Whether you're watching from Manila at midnight, Toronto during your lunch break, somewhere in the US winding down after work, or New York during your commute, thank you for being here. Share your thoughts below. Have you ever had to stand up for yourself against people who underestimated you? Let me know. Your stories inspire me to keep sharing these tales. Until next time, remember, never let anyone make you feel small. You're worth more than that.